What's up YouTube, it is your boy Darriusofficial and I am back with another YouTube video. So as you can see from the title below, this video is My Summer with Noah episode 3. And I just want to say I love that y'all loving these series, because guess what, I'm loving giving it to y'all. And guess what, we gonna have so much fun. And guess what, like we're just gonna have so much fun. I was gonna flame up my hookah, but I was just like, do a bitch really feel like doing that? And I really don't, so I'm just not gonna like flame up my hookah. So we're just gonna sit here, we're just gonna vibe, but I really could flame up my hookah though. Yeah, I think I'll flame up my hookah. Come on, let's take a little intermission break. If you don't wanna watch this, then like that's fine, like you don't have to. But girl, at the end of the day, I'm gonna flame up my hookah. Y'all look how cute my hookah is. Ah! Habitty bitty bum bum. Habitty bitty 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 bum bum. Habitty bitty 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 bum bum. We love a good hookah. Y'all want some mad? You won't get mad, cause Kiki is the best. Y'all want this story? Yeah, and I'ma give it. Yeah, you say you love it. Yeah, so I get with it. Yeah, I say N-O to the A-A-H. N-O to the A-A-H. N-O to the A-A-H. Noah. Yeah, my summer with Noah. Yeah, N-O to the A. I done lost the beat, not a good time. Woo! N-O to the, it's a vibe. I'm just playing. Okay, anyway, so as y'all seen in the last video, basically me and Noah were at the damn paint place or whatever, his uncle paint place, and a fucking security guard man came and we got kicked out. But we really ran out and we almost went to jail. So anyway, let's pick up from there. I hope that you guys are enjoying this. This right here is My Summer with Noah, episode 3, a vibe. Also too, y'all keep asking me to like post a picture of the Noah, like what he looks like how I did in episode 1. So I'm gonna keep doing that for each episode. Here's the picture. This is not Noah, but this is literally like what he looks like right here. So just have that image in your head from when you listening to the story. Okay, so boom. So we gonna pick off where we left off. So basically me and Noah are running out of the damn building and like just running, like the security guards literally chasing us through the building. And mind y'all, still early in the day. It was only like, we got there like 6 or 7 or whatever time it was. And it was still early, like it was still early, it wasn't late. So it was like, you know, whatever, it's during the summertime. The fucking sun is just now getting ready to fucking, you know, feel like it's about to set. So we're running through this damn building. I'm talking about people are looking like, oh my God, like these 2 niggas are getting chased by security. What has happened? So bitch, I tripped. Like we're almost to the door and my dumb ass tripped. And Noah looked back, he like, dude, so he run back, he picked me up, like not picked me up, but he like grabbed me and like we're running out the door. I'm like, oh my God, as we're running out the fucking door, like we just dying laughing because the shit's so funny. We hurry up and run to the damn parking garage across the street, and we fucking get in the damn car and we just sitting there dying laughing. Like it was so funny because I'm just like, oh my God, like what did you get me into? I asked him, I say, Noah, what the fuck was that about? I'm like, why did the security come? He like, okay. I'm like, okay, what? Like, are we lying again? What's going on? He's like, my uncle did tell me I could come, but basically I didn't let my uncle know that I was coming this day. He's supposed to approve for me to come and everything. I'm like, so you just broke into your uncle's damn place? The door was open, so what the fuck is that about? He's like, no. I was like, we had a time though. We had a good ass time. Like, I loved it. So boom, mind y'all, we still are like in our sweats and everything. Like there's paint on me, there's paint on him. Like it's just, you know, we just looking a little bummy, not gonna lie. So he's like, you wanna go grab food? I'm like, from where? And he was like, we can go to Applebee's or something. I'm like, Applebee's? Do you not see what I'm wearing? It's not giving Applebee's. It's not giving Applebee's. I'm like, I really don't want to be somewhere like public. Like we can be like public, but he's like, okay, we don't have to do Applebee's. He's like, I actually know this little truck stop that sell tacos, so we could go grab tacos and just chill somewhere. I'm like, all right. Boom. So we go to the little truck stop, we grab some tacos. The truck stop was downtown. We literally drove to Lakeshore. If you know where Lakeshore is downtown, then you know. We drove to Lakeshore, we parked the car, and we literally just sat like on a little wall and just watched the water, and we were just eating our tacos and we were just talking and everything. And we had a very good long talk about just like a lot of things. He was telling me about like how we were just talking about a lot of things, and then the conversation got like really deep and really serious. And he ended up telling me like how as a kid he used to be like back and forth from like his father and his mother's crib. Like they both were fighting for custody for him and everything, and like how he just, you know, like how it was hard for him to just like trust a lot of things and for him to kind of just be a kid, stuff like that. I'm just like, damn. And I just remember like looking at this boy like, this makes a lot of sense. Like, you've been through a lot of shit, so I don't know, like, I just always never really imagined how it was, like, you know, like, even when people go in like foster care and shit like that, or just even like being put back and forth from parents' house, like having y'all parents really feud and fight, it was just crazy. So, and he was getting emotional as we were sitting there talking. I remember like he sat his taco down and like he turned his head as he was talking. I'm just like, oh God. I'm like, are you crying? I was like, are you crying? And he was like, no, I'm good. And he's like wiping his face like that. So I'm sitting on the right side of him and he's like right here to me on the left. From y'all, it's probably like mirrored or whatever the fuck it is. But like, if like, imagine you sitting down and somebody's on your left. That's how it was. Like, he was on my left. So as I'm like looking as he's like, has his head turned, I just get up and like, I go in front of him. So now I'm like, kind of like looking at him like this, like right directly in front of him. And I grab his face and I'm like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to, I don't know, y'all. One thing about me, like, I hate seeing people that I love or even that I like cry, because then I feel like I'm gonna start crying. I don't know. So I just told him like, it's okay. Like, you know, if there's anything that you want to say or that you feel like you want to get out, like, I'm not somebody that's gonna judge you. Like, I'm gonna be there for you. And I'm telling him like, I'm always gonna be that person you can open up to me about anything. I'm never gonna throw something in your face. I'm always gonna be that listening ear, that hand that you need to hold, or that shoulder to cry on. You know, that's me. And so he was just like, he's like, I appreciate that. I was like, yeah. And I was just looking at him like, this boy's so fine. Like, you fine when you mad, you fine when you sad, you fine when you glad. Ultra healthy bag. I was like, what the fuck? Like, oh my God, what the fuck? I wanna fuck, put it in my butt. Like, I don't like fuck. But yeah, so he was just telling me like, I don't know, y'all, like, I just it was just a time to be alive, for real. But as I'm like holding his face like this, telling him like, you know, he's like, I appreciate you for being there for me and everything. I'm like, I'm always gonna be that person. So he's like, dude, like, I really like you. I'm like, I know, you keep telling me like I like you too. Why you keep saying it? Oh, like, we're just trying to get married, trying to have a baby. So boom, anyway, that happened and we just kind of chilled. We was just vibing, we was just really chilling, and we had a good night. We finished our tacos and then he ended up dropping me off at home. So I went home, and by this time I think it was like, I don't know, like 10 o'clock. Maybe it was like 10 o'clock at night. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I ended up going to the crib, saw my mom or whatever. And then I laid down and I went to sleep. And then maybe like a few days after, I haven't seen Noah in like a few days. So by this point in time, I started work, and I started working at KFC. And y'all, literally my first day on the job, like, I had let, like, you know, me and Noah, we were still talking, of course, like, you know, we talking throughout the points of me not seeing him. But so crazy, my first day on the job, they had me working front register. Like, I was training and everything, and then I started getting a hang of it like throughout like the mid shift. So I was working from like 8 o'clock in the morning to 4, because I wanted those hours. Like, usually it was like 10 to 4, but since I was training, they wanted me there a little bit earlier, so I was like, okay, cool. So maybe like through mid shift, I literally like had like the basics down, like what number, you know, the fucking meal was, and you know, just how to do like basic shit like that. Like, they just had me on register. It was like real simple. And there was this guy that had walked in, and like, he was flirting, and I think the guy was like, he was like 18, but I like, it's so crazy. Y'all just, okay, peep this. The guy was like flirting or whatever. I'm like, okay. So he's like, he's ordering whatever food that he didn't order. I can't remember exactly what he ordered, but yeah. And then he's like, bro, you got Instagram? And I was like, I'm like, yeah, I got Instagram. He's like, okay, let me follow you. I'm like, all right. So he followed me, I followed him back and stuff like that. He's waiting on the damn packers in the back to line up the food or whatever. And then he's like, shit, fuck it, just give me your number. Like, you seem cool, maybe we could kick it sometime. And in my head, I'm not thinking much. I'm like, okay, I just got a friend. Like, in my head, I'm not thinking much of it. Like, I knew that he was flirting after. So I'm like, okay, I sent him my number or whatever. Big mistake. While all of this was happening, I didn't know that Noah was outside. Noah was outside pulling up. This shit is so crazy thinking about it. Like, literally, this be some movie shit, y'all. Noah was outside, and then he ended up coming in, and like, he saw the guy walking out, right? And I was like, okay. I just didn't even say nothing about it. And I'm like, so when he walked up to the register, I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, I came to see you on your first day at work. I'm like, there's people here, you know, like, we're both DL, sir. And he's like, they don't know we talking. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm actually gonna order something. I'm like, all right. So I remember exactly what my Bookie butt ordered, because like, that was his favorite meal from when I was working there. He ordered the 3-piece tender, mashed potatoes and gravy, and a biscuit, and a Sprite. He ordered his food, and then like literally it was like a slow day that day, my first day I remember, because nobody was really coming in. Like it was just like basic. It was more so drive-through than everything. That's why they put me on the register in the first place. But so Noah was like, he was like, who was that? And I was like, who? He was like, the guy that just left. I was like, a customer? And he was like, but I saw you hand him your phone. And I was like, oh yeah, he just asked to like follow me on Instagram and stuff. And then like he asked for my number and like, oh, just little shit like that. He was like, for your number? And I was like, yeah. He was like, why? I was like, cause he said that I was cool. He was like, no, I don't like that. I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, what did I do wrong? He was like, why are you giving your number out to random people? And like, I know I didn't have to give him my number, but like, I wasn't thinking enough of it. I'm just like, okay, like we're cool. Like, first off, the guy wasn't even all that, like at all. Like he wasn't all that in a bag of chips. He wasn't ugly, but he wasn't all of that. Like he just asked my number and I'm just like, all right, cool. Like, you know, like whatever. So now we're like having like this mini ass argument, and literally at the register, like I noticed that the manager was walking up, and I told him, I'm like, I can't have this conversation with you right now. I'm like, this is my first day. I'm not trying to get fired. Like, and he's like, he literally responded and said, don't fucking worry about it. You don't have to hear from me ever again. And I was like, what? I looked down and say, wait, what? And he literally walked out. Y'all, like literally walked out. I was like, huh? So now the manager walks up as he's walking out, and he's like, everything good? I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. He was like, did you do something wrong? He thinking like that Noah was a customer and like he was like giving me a hard time. I'm like, nah, everything was fine. He's like, okay, cool. I'm like, yeah. Okay. So now by this time, the manager has me doing like stuff in the back. Like he has me doing dishes. I end up switching with somebody else, and now they're on register. So I couldn't be on my phone. Like only thing I'm thinking about as I'm in the back of the store, like cleaning, doing dishes and stuff like that, is like, what the fuck just happened? Like, oh my God, like I need to get to my phone. I need to text Noah. So boom, 4 o'clock finally came, y'all. Like the longest shift of my life. Like I will never forget the first day of me working that job. Like the longest shift of my life. 4 o'clock finally came, and mind y'all, Noah was supposed to pick me up too, literally, because like he offered to pick me up from work on my first day, and I was like, yeah. Like I text him, and I'm texting him, he's not responding. Like I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck just happened? I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, oh my God. So boom, I end up just texting my best friend Selena, and I'm like, yo, can you like pick me up from work, please? Like I really need a ride. And she's like, yeah, I got you. So she ended up picking me up, and like my whole mood is just blown. Like I don't even know what to do. I was just so upset and irritated. Like I'm steady texting Noah. I'm just like, yo, like can you answer? I was calling him, he was not answering, he was not responding. So I'm like, okay. Boom. So I get to my best friend's crib, and I'm just like still not getting messages from him. And she's just like, what's wrong? She's like, why do you seem so irritated? I'm just like, I'm okay. She's steady asking what's wrong. I'm like, I'm fine. Then I was like, I was gonna ask her if she could take me to Noah's house, because I was just gonna do a pop-up, because that's me. But then I'm like, how the fuck is this gonna play out? What if his mom comes to the door and like, why are you just popping up? But then I don't think she would say that. And then I'm like, how am I also gonna get my best friend to take me if she's just like, and then she's gonna like put 2 and 2 together, like whose house is this? And I'm just like, so what I did was, I said, Selena, can I just use your car just really fast? And she was like, my car? I'm like, yeah. She's like, to go where? I was like, I just gotta run some errands right quick. She's like, I could come with you. I'm like, no. I'm like, can I just use it, please? She's like, yeah. I grabbed her keys, I hopped in her car, and I drove all the way to Noah's. Y'all, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I just knew like I needed to do something. So I pulled up to his crib. Literally so crazy. I don't even know what made me do that. Like I would never do something like that this day in my life. Like I wouldn't, but bitch, I really like this man. So I was like, I'm gonna go. I pull up to his house. His mom's car is not in the driveway. So I'm like, I hope it's not in the garage. Like I really hope that she's gone. So now I'm just like, what can I do? So I walked around the house, the side of the house, and I grabbed like this little pebble, like these little pebbles that they had in their backyard. And I was just like, I looked up and I looked at Noah's window. His blinds were closed, his curtains were closed. And I was just like throwing like tiny pebbles at his window. Maybe like after the 3rd petal opens up the window, like he opens up the blinds, the curtains and then the blinds. He sees me and he's looking, and then he closes the blinds and then closes the curtain. Literally on me, and I was just like, are you kidding me? So now I'm like, now I pick up my phone and I'm calling him, I'm like, texting him, I'm like, answer. And he finally answers my call after I called him that last time. And he's like, what? Like literally was like, what do you want? And I was like, can you stop? Can you just like, I'm like, can I come in? Can I talk to you? And he's like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I'm like, okay, can you at least come to the door? And then he hung up, and I'm like, oh my god, like, oh my god, what the fuck did I do? You're so upset because this boy asked my number and I gave him my number. Like, I'm not even texting this boy. Like, so now I'm like, okay, he hung up, he's still not responding. Like, okay, so I grabbed another pebble, I throw it at the window. I grab another one, throw it at the window. Grab another one, I threw it at the window. And by the way, I wasn't throwing it hard. It's like little baby pebbles, so it's just like a little tap, but like you hear it. By this time, he's livid now. He's like, he slings the curtains open, throws the blinds up, and like pushes the window. He's like, what the fuck do you want? And I was like, don't talk to me like that, Wookie. Like, I'm like, can you talk to me? I'm like, can we just talk, please? And he's like, about what? I'm like, about why you're upset. And he's like, there's nothing to talk about. The only thing I responded with by this time was, Noah, you were just upset. When I was upset and you wanted to plead your case, I listened to you. Even though I was trying to leave, I still sat there and listened to you. Said, at least give me the decency to talk. And he was just staring at me for like a good 15 seconds. He's like, and then he closes the window, then he closes the blinds, closes the curtain, and then I give it like 2 minutes after that, because I was still sitting there just like texting him like, oh my god, like, come on. He opens up, I see the patio door open from the back, and he's like, come on. And I was like, finally. So I walk up the little stairs, the back, like the deck, and then I go in the damn house, and that's like where the kitchen was. And I was like, is your mom here? He's like, no. I was like, okay, like, so you want to talk? He's like, no, I don't, but what's up? I was like, what are you so upset about? He's like, what do you mean you gave another nigga your number? And I was like, can we just not? I was just so irritated because I'm like, you literally just got, like, you lied to me about a whole girl you talking about. And I'm not the type to be like, you know, like play tit for tat, but I just don't like how you expect the person to act a certain way in certain situations, and then when another person is wrong, or if you feel like you're upset about something, you don't give them the decency to talk about it. So I'm just like, I'm upset at this point because I'm like, Noah, like, there's nothing going on. I'm like, I don't even notice now. I'm like, I didn't even text him. Like, okay, I apologize for giving him my number, but I didn't think much of it. Like, okay, cool, but I don't feel like you should, like, you ignored me all day. You didn't pick me up from work. Like, you could at least told me you wasn't coming to get me from work. Like, now I'm just sitting here stranded, looking stupid as fuck. Like, and he's like, what did you expect me to do? Communicate, talk? You stormed out and started ignoring my calls and my phone calls. Like, I'm like, if I did that to you, you would be upset. Like, so boom. So he's all like, so as I'm talking, I noticed like he's just like so irritated. Like, it's like he didn't even want to listen. He's just like brushing off everything I'm saying. And then when I was done talking, he didn't say anything. So I'm like, is there something you want to say? And he was like, look, I'm playing my game. Like, I would rather not talk about it. I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, come on, like little shit like that. He was like, let me prove to me that you weren't texting him. Here, like, you can have my, like, check it. There's nothing in there. So he checked the messages and he's like, well, wasn't even no messages to check. He just like checked my message thread and he's like, okay. And he's like, listen, I just don't like that. He's like, if you say that you all for me and like, you know, we supposed to be liking each other. He's like, I just don't want you giving out your number to nobody else. I said, okay, and that's fine, but like, you could state that. Like, you don't have to be an asshole about it. Like, literally. That's so strange. Like, that's so weird. I told him, I said, look, we're too soon into this for us to be like arguing over everything. Like, that's not what I'm here for. Like, I'm here to like vibe and like have a good time with you. Like, you know, like, I like you. And he was like, yeah, I know, but still, like, you know, it's just certain things that I just don't go for. And I was like, and there's certain things I don't go for either. You lied to me about that whole situation, like, you know, and I could have got mad. I could have not talked to you, which I didn't, but we're not talking about me right now. We're talking about you. Like, you know, like, we're talking about you. So he's like, okay. And so we kind of squashed it, but like, I could still tell he was irritated. And then he ended up asking me, he was like, wait, how did you even get over here? I was like, my best friend's car. He's like, she's outside? I'm like, no, like, I took her car and I drove over here. He's like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, how long do you plan on staying? I was like, are you trying to kick me out? He's like, no, I'm just asking, like, how long are you free for? And I was like, I could probably spare like another hour. Y'all, I thought that boy was bipolar that day, because I was like, what the fuck? Like, you was so mad. And he was like, cuz, like, if you could spare another hour, then come upstairs with me real quick. And I was like, okay. So we go upstairs, we go to his room, and yeah, we just chilled there while he was playing the game. And I asked him, I'm like, you sure you good? He was like, yeah. He made me delete the dude's number and unfollow him on Instagram and block him. Oh my god, like, you're crazy. Like, fine, like, possessive. But like, I like that, because like, you're so fine, bookie butt. But yeah, so we're just upstairs as he's playing the game, and yeah, that hour went past. We literally did nothing, just sat there and chilled. I watched him play the game for an hour. And then I told him, I'm like, well, I have to go because my best friend needs her car. He's like, okay. I was like, all right. And so he walks me downstairs. I go outside, and y'all, this day was so crazy, like so crazy. I don't know why, like it's not funny, but it's so crazy. As he's walking me outside, I see his mother literally in the driveway tussling with the man. Like literally tussling with the man. Remember I told y'all his mom's white. The man is black. And it looks like he's like really like trying to fuck her up. And I'm like, Noah didn't walk me all the way to the car. He just walked me to like the way his his house was set up is like, I told y'all he got like this big dumbass house. So the driveway's long, but also too like you have to walk out further enough from the door to see the driveway, because like the door was right here, and then like you walk this little pathway to the driveway, and it's like a long ass driveway. So when I walked out, I see, and I just kind of, I backed back up, and I was like, Noah, I was like, your mom is fighting some man. And he's like, what the fuck? So literally he like jets out the damn door, and like, y'all, this shit happened so fast. Like he's like, what the fuck? And then he like runs up on the damn man, like punching the man. They're fighting. The mom's like, Noah, stop, Noah, stop, oh my god, blah blah. She's calling whatever the man name was. I can't remember the fucking man's name, but yeah, like it was so crazy. Like he's literally fighting this man. Like they're in the driveway, like rolling and just like on top of each other, just fighting each other. It was so fucking bad. Like, it was so bad. And his mom was just so distraught. She's trying to break it up. So now I'm like, at first I was like, oh my god, like what the fuck is going on? But then I go over there and I'm just like trying to break it up too. I'm like, y'all, like chill, like chill, like. And well, one thing about it, two things for sure. I'm a nigga, but I ain't no big ass hoe. So I can't stop. I couldn't really like stop. Like, what the fuck? Like, Noah's big as hell. Like, he's tall as shit. And then this grown ass man is like tall as shit. And they just going at it like, I'm getting hit. His mom's getting hit. They're getting hit. I'm like, oh my god, like it was bad. So his mom didn't even care about like, okay, yeah, like you have, like that's not the point right now. Like she's trying to like get this her damn son off this man, get this man off her son. Like it was bad. I'm just like, oh my god, I'm just so confused. All I know is that this damn man is trying to like fuck these people up. So I'm like, what the fuck? So we end up like getting them off of each other, like fucking crazy. Like Noah's like right here, and I got Noah. I'm like, chill, and like she has the man, and she's like, stop babe, and I'm like, babe. And Noah's like, you're a bitch ass nigga, and all this and that. Like he's going crazy. He's like, don't you ever put your fucking hands on my mom again, such and such. And Noah, he's yelling at his mom. It's like, mom, go in the fucking house, like leave him the fuck alone, go in the house. Like I'm like, oh my god, like I'd never seen Noah this mad before. But I knew it didn't help that I pissed him off early in the day. And this nigga's just like, he's the blue. Like first off, Noah's lip and his nose is like leaking. The other guy fucking eye is black. His mouth is leaking. Like it's like that. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I'm trying to get Noah to calm down. There's blood everywhere. He's getting blood all on me. I'm just like, oh my god. And just so much was happening. The guy ended up hopping in the fucking car. Was like, don't worry, I'll be fucking back. Like he's talking to Noah like crazy. And he hops in the car. He just like speeds out the driveway. And his mom is just sitting there crying. And I'm just like, y'all, I didn't know what to do. And I'm just like, I'm trying to like, it was bad. It was bad. Like she's crying, and I wanted to ask what was going on so bad, but I'm like, it wasn't my place in that time. It was just fucking bad. Like his mom's crying, and like I don't know what to do. Like Noah's not comforting her, so I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So he's like, I told you to leave him the fuck alone, stop messing with him. Like it was like he's yelling at her, she's just crying, and she's like, she literally told him, she said, Noah, not right now. Like as she's crying, like she walks in the house and slams the door behind her, and me and Noah are just in the driveway. Like he's just like breathing heavy, his fucking shirt's ripped, like he got like his nose is bleeding, just mouth, like everything. It was just bad. And I'm just like he's just going nuts, and I'm just like, would you calm? I'm like what's going on? He asked me, he was like, can I just please come back to your place with you? I was like, this is not the time. Like in my head I'm thinking like, this is not the time. Like my mom doesn't know anything about like, my mom doesn't know anything about me like dealing with dudes right now. Like you're about to come back to my house and like your face is like fucked. I'm like can we at least like try to, he's like, no, I don't want to go back in there right now. Like she's gonna piss me off. He's like, I just need to go, like we need to leave now. And I'm just like, I was like, okay fine. I'm like, yeah, like you could come back. He's like, all right, I'll trail you. I'm like, what the fuck? Like y'all, it was so crazy, it was so bad. So I end up hopping in my best friend Selena's car, and he hops in his car and like he follows me all the way back home, because mind you, me and Selena lived on the same block. So I dropped her car off, and I told Noah just drive down to my house so that she wouldn't see nothing. And he's like, okay. I give my best friend her car keys. I'm like, I have to go. I'll talk to you later. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'll text you back. So I run down back to my house, and like Noah, he's like, he parks his car in the driveway and everything. Like he just doesn't care. And so like I'm like, come on, like y'all, his nose is like leaking. Like it was bad. Like he fucked that man up, but that man was fucking him up too, cause like that's a grown ass man, like for real, you know what I mean? Like they both were fucking each other up. It was like oh my gosh, like his lip was busted. I just remember visually like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. So I'm really hoping and praying that my mother isn't home, but I know she is, cause she's always fucking. I'm hoping my brother's not home. I'm just hoping, like I'm just like I couldn't even fathom, like I couldn't even put together how I'm gonna play this out. So when I just run down back to my house, I'm like, come on. He gets out the car, we walk up to the door, and I'm just sitting there just like, so I'm like, all right, fuck it. I unlock the door, I walk in, and I just walk him straight to the bathroom. And I tell my mom, I go straight to her room. She's like, Jib, that's you? I'm like, yeah, because my mom calls me Jib. And I'm like, Mom, my friend is here. She's like, your friend? I'm like, yeah. She was like, why didn't he come and speak to me? I'm like, he just got into a fight, like his face is messed up. She was like, what? So she hops up, she's like, where is he okay? I'm like, yeah. So she sees him in the bathroom. He's like, what happened? And blah blah blah. She's like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine, and blah blah blah. And I just told her, I said, Mom, just give him a minute, just give us a second, you know. She's like, okay. She goes back to her room, and she's like, what do y'all need? And I'm like, I got everything. She's like, okay. So we're in the bathroom, I close the door, and I'm just like rumbling through the cabinets. I didn't fucking got gauze, peroxide, like just hella shit. And I'm just like, this is just too much. This is just a lot. Like it's just a lot, y'all. Like I'm like, what the fuck did I get myself into? Like literally, child, what the fuck did I get myself into? So I told him, I'm like, no, just sit on the toilet. Like, so he pulls the toilet seat down, and then he sits on the toilet, and I'm just like, so I'm just sitting there like, I'm like trying to get his nose from stopping the bleeding. I'm fucking putting a hot rag on his nose, and I'm holding his head back. In the midst of that, I'm telling him like, now you hold it, and I'm trying to fucking clean up his damn mouth and everything. And he's just like like it hurt. I'm like, I have to clean your face, dude. Like I don't know what the fuck, what is this about? Like, God, like I was so stressed out because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. So we were in the bathroom for like a good 15 minutes. My mom steady running back and forth. She's like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, Mom. I'm like, yeah, I'm handling it. She's like, okay. God, this shit was crazy. It was bad. As we're in the bathroom, like when I'm cleaning up his face and everything, like we're almost done at this point. His nose was still bleeding, but I just had him hold that back. But his mouth, I got that cleaned up and everything. And then yeah, like I told him, just like, I'm like, you could just go to my room. So he's like, okay. I pointed him where the room was. He goes to my room, closed the door. I told my mom what happened. She's like, what the fuck? I was like, yeah, like I don't know who the man was, but I'm like, I think like it's his stepdad or his dad or something. I told her, I said, but like, is it okay if like he spent a night here, because he can't go back home? Like he don't want to talk to his mom for whatever reason. And she's like, yeah, that's fine, he can stay. I'm like, okay. She was like, should I order pizza? I'm like, yeah, girl, order some pizza, order some Beggars, girl, because if y'all know Chicago got the best pizza, Beggars pizza. I'm like, yeah, girl, please order some pizza. She's like, okay. Chow. I tell you, that one for the book. So I walk out her room, I go into my room, and Noah's just sitting there like, he's still just like so pissed off, like he's just hyperventilating. I'm like, calm down. I'm like, it is okay. He's like, no, like this shit always happens. I'm like, what's going on? So he's just sitting there frustrated. I'm still looking at his fucking shirt that's ripped, that got blood stains on it. I'm like take off the shirt. I tried to give him a shirt of mine, and he's like, I know, I'm fine, I don't want it. I'm like, you sure? He's like, yeah, I'm hot anyway. I'm like, okay. I'm like, whatever. So I asked him, I'm like, what was that about? He was like, yeah, this has been her boyfriend for like years on and off, like 13 plus years on and off and everything. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so I'm like, this happens often? He's like, yeah. He was like, remember that night at Lakeshore when I was telling you about like my dad in custody going back and forth? I'm like, yeah. He was like, that's why he wanted custody, because of my mom's not stable and that. And in my head, I'm thinking like, she's stable enough. Like this girl got a big ass house, she works a great ass job. But then I had to think like, you can't always judge a book by its cover. Like people be really like living nice ass lifestyles, or so you think, but inside of their home like it's really broken as fuck. Like damn, that's so crazy. And I'm like, and I just told him, like, I'm so sorry to hear, like that's crazy. Like, and I know me, like my mom, you know, she used to, her and her guy used to fight all the time, you know, so I know, like, but I always had like brothers and stuff to kind of like deal with it. Like we always wouldn't allow things to get serious, because like it was just nothing but boys. Like, you know, if something went down, we were always there to protect my mom. So, you know, he was just letting me know, like, just him being the only child and everything, like he's like, it's fucking hard to try to protect his only mom from like, you know, shit like that. And I'm like, damn, y'all, it was just sad. It was sad. Like shit. So yeah, he's just sitting there like teary-eyed. His nose is still bleeding. I keep telling him like, I'm just, Noah, stop taking the damn, I can hear you. You don't have to take the damn, you don't have to take the fucking towel off your face. Like I can hear you. It's like, he's just leaking. I'm like, oh my God. I let him hold his head back. I let him know, I was like, my mom said that you could spend the night. So he was like, really? I was like, yeah. He was like, okay. He was like, tell her I said thank you and everything. And he was like, I'll fully introduce myself and everything when I'm like, you know, I'm like, yeah, no, you fine. Like, you just get yourself together, please, because you're crazy. Like, she understands that you got some shit going on. And he's like, okay. So, yeah, maybe like, I don't know, a few minutes, like a few minutes went past, maybe like 15 minutes. His nose finally stopped bleeding. He done calmed down some. Yeah, like at this point, he done got up off the bed. He's like looking at my wall and looking at the pictures I got hung up, asking who are these people in this picture and stuff like that. Like, I'm telling him like, yeah, that's my little brother and this is such and such. And he's like, oh, cool. And then, yeah, my mom called me in her room at this time. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, what's up? She was like, is he fine? I'm like, yeah, he cool. He just need a minute, mom. She was like, okay. She was like, you a good friend. I'm like, you a good mama for letting them stay. She was like, that's always gonna be me. I was like, yeah. She's like, anyway, the pizza is on its way. I'm like, all right, girl. Like, all right, girl. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I go back in the room. He's just sitting there. He's on his phone. And I locked my door. And I'm like, girl, like, I don't need my mom coming up in here. What if I want to cuddle on this man, you know? What if he wants some sex that wants to release some anger? I'm like, all right. But yeah, so I end up telling him, I'm like, yeah, my mom ordered pizzas on the way. I don't know if you hungry. And yeah, he was like, okay. He was like, tell her I said thank you. I'm like, I got you for sure. And like, we're just laying down at this point, kind of just like, I don't know, shit was still just weird. It was like just weird because I'm like, oh my God, like this is his first time being over my crib and it's like this, like under these circumstances. Like, it was just weird. I was like, I just felt very off, like nervous too, like, you know, I don't know. But anyway, we're literally just laying down, just cuddling everything, and I'm just kind of like, I'm holding his bloody ass towel for him against his nose just in case. And I told him, just hold it there, even though your nose stopped bleeding, still just hold it. Then my mom, she had texted my phone while I'm laying down and she's like, the pizza's here. I was like, okay. And so I told him, I'm like, you hungry? He's like, yeah, I could eat. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, well, come on. And y'all, this is like, it was just so awkward to me because I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't know. So I told him, like, can you put on a shirt first? He's like, yeah. So I give him the shirt that he didn't want to take, and then we go in the damn kitchen, and we're sitting at the island and everything on the bar stool. My mom's like putting our pizza on the plate and everything, and so like I could tell like my mom didn't want to ask about the situation, so she's just asking basic questions. She was like, so what's your name? He was like, my name is Noah. She was like, okay, you can call me Miss Thomas and everything. And he's like, nice to meet you. She was like, nice to meet you too. She was like, how do you guys know each other? She's asking his age. He tells like school. He tells her how old he was, and shit like that. And she was like, I don't know. It's just like, I'm like, is this the first greeting? Like, I don't know. Like, I kind of liked it, but then I was also scared. Like, I was like, I hope he don't say the wrong shit. And I hope C don't say some shit to scare him off. You know, I'm like, oh my God. But it was like real cool. Yeah, so she ended up telling him, like, when she saw his face, like even after, like how his lip was like busted and shit, and she was like, I don't know what's going on at home, but you can stay for however long you need to stay. And I was like, my eyeballs, like literally my eyeballs, I remember I almost choked on my piece. I was like, and she was like, what? I was like nothing, I almost choked. She was like, okay. He was like, really? And she was like, yeah. She was like, you know, if you need to stay, she's like, I don't know how your mom would feel about it, but you know, if you need to stay. And I'm just like, I'm just looking at both of them like, he was like, thank you, I appreciate that, I really do. She was like, no problem. And then she walks off, she goes in her room. Well, she goes to go get my little brother his pizza, and then she goes in her room. And we're just, me and him is just at the island. I'm just like, he's like, what? And I'm like, nothing, boy, nothing. I don't know, I guess, you staying? Are you staying? You staying? Like, he was like, I like her, she's really sweet. I'm like, yeah, she can be sometimes when she doesn't want to be a bitch, but I love you, mom. But like, you know, yeah, and then we ate our food, and we it was so awkward. Like, it wasn't even awkward, I was just like, I just didn't know like what else to, I didn't know what to expect, and that whole thing was just awkward. And I'm just like, whatever. We ate our food, and then we go back in my room, and yeah, we just literally laid down until we fucking went to sleep. And yeah, we were cuddling and watching shows, and just, he was holding me, and I was just like rubbing the back of his head and to make him feel better. I asked him, I'm like, are you gonna talk to your mom? Like, he's like, no, like she pisses me off because she always does this. He basically just wants her to have like, wants her to want better for herself, and she always puts like, he basically was explaining how he just feel like he puts her and him in danger, and it doesn't be worth it, and it don't be worth it. But anyway, y'all was just sitting there like just rubbing his head as I'm laying on his chest and everything, and then we fell asleep in my room. And yeah, that is it for episode 3. I know y'all probably like, stop leaving us off on cliffhangers. What happened next morning? Like, what happened? Blah blah such. Oh my god, Greg, y'all won't know until episode 4. Y'all better be lucky y'all got this one, because I told y'all I was gonna double up. So y'all will get episode 4 next Monday. I only owe y'all this one because I didn't post the last one when I should have posted the last one. But anyway, thank y'all for watching. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, click that bell on the side so that you can be notified. Make sure that you tell a friend or two because it is good for you. I want to know, what would y'all do in this situation? Huh? Comment down below. Let me know. I want to talk about it. Maybe we should have like a live and talk about like the situation. Like, what would y'all do? I want to know, like, what would y'all do? But anyway, I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure that y'all, well, I already said that. Anyway, I love y'all. See y'all next YouTube video. Bye.